Welcome into another edition of the KARE 11 Sports Plus. That's Julia Daniels. I'm Reggie Wilson. Thanks for hanging out with us. A lot to get to today, so let's get started with Anthony Edwards. Julia, we were talking before this about Anthony Edwards has become like a Netflix star over the last 6 to 8 months.
Yeah, I mean, he's entertaining on and off the court.
Yeah.
So it's hard not to think of him as just like this huge character in the league right now, right?
Yeah, and so there's a clip that's going around on social media right now. He was talking to the 44th president of the United States, Barack Obama, and he was talking to him just like he was just any other guy.
He said, I am the truth.
Yeah. And
he's just talking ball.
I think Obama was so flustered by it. He was stuttering. He was like, "Hey, LeBron, Anthony Davis, come over here. You hear this guy say he's the truth?"
Yeah.
And it's like, I am the truth.
What do we do? Yeah. What's the debate about?
Yeah, and so when you see something like that, you just see a guy whose confidence is off the charts.
Yeah.
And a guy that a lot of people are really starting to gravitate to, and especially with, Ja Morant kind of having the down years and the suspension and then the injury of the last couple years, you really kind of saw Ant kind of take his kind of place in that next level of the conversation of the future stars and faces of the league. And then now he's coming off helping the Timberwolves go to the Western Conference Finals for the first time in 20 years. And, he's improved the three-point shot. And he's just a dude that has become must-watch television every single game.
Yeah.
And now he's getting all this talk about, is he the face of the league? Check out what Ant had to say this past weekend at All-Star Weekend about that topic.
To tell the truth, you can and will be that guy.
Well, I'm capable of being that guy, but I don't want to be that guy. Put it like that. I want to be the guy to just show up and hoop and just kill dudes and go home.
He says he doesn't want to be that guy.
Right.
Didn't necessarily express his reason why, but he just said he wants to be a guy who goes to the arena, kills people, and then goes home.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
I just think he's comfortable where he's at. He loves his life. Mm-hmm. I think what he wants to do is he wants to play basketball, obviously. Yeah. He wants to do well. Mm-hmm. Well, he wants to win. He wants to be with his friends. And he wants to have a good time. I don't think it's so much to read into of does he want the responsibility? I don't think he's worried about the responsibility. I think he just wants to do what he wants to do, and that be it. I don't think he already knows, and we talked about his confidence. He already knows he's at that star power level. I think we'll see in the next few years, hopefully, him take on more and more of a leadership role to where he's just going to let his game do the talking for itself. That's what I gather from this, that he's just I'm not worried about trying to be the face. I'm just worried about going in and doing a good job and having fun. And I think that's what I take from this.
But you know what? I think he's past that point. And I think I was telling my wife this earlier. It's tough because when you have come into a position where you have started to get that notoriety and you have started to get that cachet. He's getting calls now and everything. He's got his own shoe. All these and is on TV all the time. And it's not just because he's playing basketball. He's got Chipotle, he's got Sprite, he's got all these different things. Adidas is making commercials about him all the time.
Right.
And so now this is the marketability of a superstar that we really kind of saw happen before the start of last season and just keep trickling. Then you win the gold medal, more visibility.
Yeah.
And it's funny, you don't want that, Anthony Edwards, but I think the problem is it's
going to happen.
There.
It's going to happen. Well, I think that's kind of what I gather from this, too, is he's more of, we know this.
Yeah.
He's a very go with the flow kind of guy. And I think maybe that's what I gathered from what he was saying, where he's I'm not trying to take on this, but I think also in the back of his mind, he knows that it's happening, but he's not making it a priority to be the face of the league and try and take on this persona of being the NBA. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does. And honestly, I think it's kind of crazy because I think in sports culture, we're always looking forward for something.
Yeah.
Like, we don't necessarily enjoy what we have in the moment because we're looking at, okay, what's next? What's gonna happen next? And it's just like, people don't just get satisfied with just enjoying where the game is right now. They're like, oh, we got to crown a new star. LeBron's going to be retiring soon, and he can't continue to be the face of the league. We got to find a new face of the league. Why is there such a rush, and why is there such an importance on having a face of the league? I mean, Ant basically was like, that's what we got Wemby for. Because you see the scrutiny and the microscope that being that guy kind of has on these players.
Yeah.
You look at LeBron James. Pretty much since he was in high school, he's had a microscope on him. Mm-hmm. He's 40 years old right now. That's a lot of attention and a lot of just like dissecting that's done. They talk about LeBron every day on First Take.
Right.
That's just too much. And I think because of it, it's a great responsibility to carry. And I don't think that Ant wants to be the guy to have to carry that big burden of responsibility because he's a young guy. He just wants to live his life. But the problem is, the more you try to run from it, what I've seen is the more it just comes at you. You know,
and the more
the Dave
personality,
Chappelle with the Rick James, just like,
and the more that we
coming.
see, people love Ant's personality.
Yeah,
he's hilarious without trying. We've seen it since he was 16 years old, right? He's always been unapologetically himself.
Yeah.
And so, unfortunately for him, if he continues to be a superstar on the court and continues to rack up fines and say whatever is on his brain, he's going to always have this attention. He's always going to be viral on every single social media. That's the other part, too.
Yeah.
When we're constantly pushing for a new face, it's because media is at our fingertips so often that everyone wants more. People go, there's compilations all over YouTube of just Ant talking.
Yeah.
Not Ant playing basketball.
Exactly.
And so, and you don't really see that with a lot of other NBA stars. And so it's the personality mixed in with his talent and his work ethic that's getting him to this spot that maybe he doesn't care for so much.
Exactly. So, Ant, you're kind of doing it to yourself, brother. Sorry to break it to you, but it kind of is what it is at this point. And I understand that it could carry great responsibility, but also make a person very polarizing.
Yeah.
Just because he's only 23 years old.
I know.
He's made his fair share of mistakes up until this point, and I'm sure he doesn't want to be judged by those. No one wants to be judged by their mistakes, especially mistakes that they've made when they were younger. You know, when he, 5-6 years down the line, when he looks back at some of the missteps that he's made. And I think he kind of wants to come away from all that because he's just like, look, it's enough pressure that I'm dealing with. I don't want the pressure of being the face of the entire NBA.
Right.
And so that's going to be interesting. I'm interested to see, if Ant could keep the scoring clip up. Second half of the season starts on Friday, so we'll be obviously catching you up with what's going on with the Timberwolves as they start back up after the All-Star break. All right, coming up after this, we're going to talk about football. Your favorite.
In February.
Yes. Franchise tag. That opened yesterday. What will the Vikings do, if anything? We're talking about it coming up. So, franchise tag period opened on Tuesday. Yeah. So now we're talking about what the Vikings may do with that. I think there was news yesterday about Byron Murphy kind of pushing back the void date of his contract. So kind of giving him and the Vikings a little bit more time to try to seek something, try to agree on something before he hits the free agent market. You saw they do that with Aaron Jones last week as well. So I think the Vikings are still just trying to keep their options open.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Sam Darnold, we saw what he did last year.
Yep.
4,300 passing yards, 35 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, highest passing percentage of his career. Right? Those last two games, though, they get burned into your mind. You're like, oh, but it was Detroit. It was Arizona against the Rams. And you think about those things, and then you think about a franchise tag carrying a number north of $41 million. And you think, oh, the Vikings don't do that, right? Oh, by the way, J.J. McCarthy, he's healthy now. And his cap hit the next 3 years, $5 million, $6 million, $7 million.
Yeah.
Also,
Discount.
Exactly. Also, this from Dan Graziano today on X that really had everybody's antlers going up. The NFL today informed teams that the 2025 per team salary cap will fall in the range of $277.5 million to $281.5 million, way up from last year's $255.4 million. Cap will have increased by more than $53 million over the last 2 years. I talked about this yesterday on KARE 11 at 6. The Vikes were looked at to have around $58 million in cap space this offseason. Now we're looking at north of $63 million in cap space.
Okay.
If you commit $41 million, even with the extra in cap space that they'll now have, $41 million to Samuel Darnold. That's a big hit on being able to re-sign free agents like Byron Murphy, Cam Bynum, and also target the interior of the offensive line that Kevin O'Connell was talking about was a big deal, a big point of emphasis headed towards this offseason, and the interior of the defensive line. And so, Julia, you're Kwesi Adofo-Mensah.
Okay.
What do you do?
We're not doing that. We're not doing it. Because from my perspective sitting here, should they give Sam Darnold a franchise tag? My mind immediately with those numbers says, well, then they're going to trade him. Right?
Yeah.
Because the numbers don't make sense for what needs to happen with the rest of the team, right?
But do you find a trade partner?
Right. And
willing
that's the
to
other
take
part.
On the $41 million?
Exactly. And then
a new contract.
Another team has to determine whether Sam Darnold is worth that. And unfortunately for Sam, like you said, people remember the last 2 games. And the further away you get from the season, the more they remember just the last 2 games.
Exactly.
And so should they franchise tag him, it just doesn't work well for them in any kind of circumstance, because maybe they get some draft picks, but other than that, what are you doing?
Exactly.
And it would also maybe signal to me, should they franchise tag him, that J.J. McCarthy is not where they want him to be in his rehab at this point. That is what that signals to me too. So I think that should they do this, which I don't think that they will.
Okay.
It's going to give us some signs of maybe the direction that they're headed with quarterback or what they're trying to get. But I just don't see Kwesi taking this step. I just don't see them do it. After, I get it, Sam Darnold had a great season. He did. You can't write that off. But can you trust him? And also, you already drafted J.J. McCarthy. That's what you were looking for your long-term discount solution, right? And so it just doesn't make sense to me for them to franchise tag Sam Darnold.
Yeah, and you franchise tag a guy, and now you're looking at it being a big risk because you're like, okay, what team is gonna be like, okay, yeah, I'll play ball. No, not only will I pay that contract, but I'll give you something substantial as well. You're talking about maybe a first or second round pick or picks moving forward for Sam Darnold. And it's like, well, yeah, that could be a thing, or you could just let him walk and then we can sign him to whatever deal that we want. But I get the idea though that you don't want to lose someone for nothing.
Right.
You know, they let Kirk Cousins walk last year, didn't get anything for him. Maybe compensatory pick.
Right.
And maybe that's something that you would get for Darnold as well. But I think the problem is it's layered. It's a layered problem.
The problem is you also have Daniel Jones as a potential candidate as well.
You picking up what I'm putting down.
Yeah.
So now I think the problem is Kevin O'Connell has been too good. He's been too good at being a quarterback whisperer.
Right.
You know, you bring in Josh Dobbs just out of nowhere and you win a couple games with this guy. You have a quarterback in Nick Mullins throw for 400 yards a game, 4 interceptions, but 400 yards a game in multiple games.
Which you also have to take into account, right?
Exactly.
You take Sam Darnold away.
Yes, you take a guy like Sam Darnold, who was thought to be a bust, with a good enough arm that you could have him in camp, you could have him in your quarterback room, but not as a starter. Kevin O'Connell's like, ha! I can do something with him.
Right.
And I think the tough part is the McCarthy injury kind of made this difficult.
Yes.
Not in the sense that we think of, but now you had a plan for JJ McCarthy, and maybe Sam Darnold outkicked his coverage, if you will.
Right.
And he was like career best numbers that he did under Kevin O'Connell's tutelage.
Right.
I don't know that maybe even Kevin O'Connell thought that it would be like that.
Right.
14 wins with Sam Darnold.
He hoped, but he had no confidence.
And now we're having these type of conversations in the offseason. When they drafted their quarterback of the future, he tears his knee, and everybody's like, oh no. And Kevin O'Connell's like, yeah, I'm very confident that Minnesota's drafted J.J. McCarthy to be everything that I've seen. He's going to be the franchise quarterback for years to come.
Right.
He declares that, then goes and has this phenomenal season with Sam Darnold. And now you're like, oh man, he got Daniel Jones like, let me out of New York. I'm out of here. I don't want to be here anymore. I want to go to Minnesota.
I want a fairy godmother too, named Kevin O'Connell.
And so now you're like, oh, maybe if we sign Daniel Jones back to a 1 year, $12, $13, $14 million deal to go along with J.J. McCarthy in that quarterback room, and now maybe we can replicate some of that same magic. Maybe not 14 wins, but maybe you can do a little bit more,
And maybe then you go deeper in the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe you can win a playoff game for once. And so I think this whole thing is a conundrum. And Kevin O'Connell, I'm sorry, brother, but it's your fault.
You did it to yourself.
You're too good at your job, sir.
Yeah.
This is your fault. And now Kwesi's like, you see what you're putting me through? Now I got to make these decisions. And so I don't envy the position that they're in, but it kind of just seems like a no-brainer of what they should do.
Yeah, I agree. But we'll see how it all shakes out.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's quarterback talk with Reg and Juju. So coming up, we got a few other things to talk about. Four Nations Face-Off has been lit.
Yeah. Literally.
It's been lit.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about that. Girls State Hockey Tournament just got underway as well. And Gophers.
Hooping.
Gophers. Yeah. Hooping. Yes, hooping. We're talking about that coming up. Welcome back. All right, Gophers.
Yeah.
They're like, Ben Johnson's like, I see you, PJ. I see what you did sweeping LA. I could do it too.
He said, wait a minute.
In a span of just a few days, the Gophers go and they beat USC. And then last night, big time win, comeback variety over UCLA as well. And so you look at UCLA and you think they're going to be a team that should be reckoned with at tournament time.
Right.
And the Gophers are just trying to make sure they make it into the dance. What was your phrasing today? They're 2 games above being in the bottom 3.
They're in the tournament 2 games ahead those that are not in the tournament because what is it? Iowa's right behind them and then Rutgers.
You got Rutgers, you got Penn State,
right.
Northwestern. And so, yeah.
They're 2 games into the win column to be in the tournament.
Listen.
That makes any sense.
Yeah. When Big Ten tournament started, Big Ten play started, you're like, oh no, the Gophers are free falling. And then all of a sudden they turn it around, get some big time wins.
Yeah.
They've hit a couple roadblocks, but then they sweep LA, and now you're like, oh, maybe they won't be in that bottom 3. Ben Johnson is coaching for his job right now. Shout out to Ben Johnson. We love him in the Care 11 sports department, and we're rooting for you, Ben. Probably shouldn't say that. We're objective journalists, okay? But what do you think of what the Gophers are doing right now? Dawson Garcia, 27 in the second half.
Yeah, that's insane.
The same amount of points that UCLA's whole team had in the second half.
I would say if we were just to be objective and take these last 2 games and look at them, they're down 14, they're down 17. They come back and they win both those games. It tells you a lot, if you're just looking at those 2, about the identity of this team.
Yeah.
And you want your team to not always be down by that much, right? But it tells you a lot that they're able to come back to back like that, especially at this point in the year, right? Because it gives them confidence.
Exactly.
And if you think about it too, when you're watching any kind of postseason, anything, a team that's not going to be down on themselves when they're down at the half is a team that always has a foot in the door, right? And so this, I think if you're a Gophers fan, it's really encouraging to see your team do this. And then also they've got 5 games left in the regular season. 3 of them are at home.
Yeah.
Too, which is very nice for them. But I just think that maybe this team is finding their identity. It's what we talked about. Dawson Garcia is really, he was good last year.
Yeah.
Phenomenal this year, especially right now. And now is the time you want your team to be figuring out what works for them and peaking, because it's hard. I mean, these are like young guys, right?
Yeah.
Sure, they do this. It's like their day job, but it's not always so easy to figure out at that age either. So I think it's encouraging to see them having done this twice back to back in a row on the road as well. Like, let's not act like these are easy environments to win in. So I think it's encouraging, and maybe Gophers fans can have a little confidence right now headed into this last stretch of the regular season.
Yeah, and what's nice is it's not just Dawson Garcia. He's the leading star, if you will. But then you got guys like Lakai Patterson coming in his first year in the program. He's scoring big time and doing big time minutes. You got Mike Mitchell, veteran guys like that. But then, you know, Ben Johnson, at any point, he can say, hey, freshman, Isaac Asama, get in there.
Right.
Give me some good minutes. And he's getting that. And I think you look at that 21-point loss to Illinois, and you're like, oh, man. And then they rattle off a couple against these LA teams and win these games. And now you're talking about a team that, you know, you may be able to go ahead and get above that last 3 in the Big Ten, make the Big Ten tournament, and then you're talking about a team that maybe nobody really wants to play come Big Ten tournament time.
Because who knows?
Exactly.
Who knows?
You just never know. Ben Johnson could coach them to a Big Ten tournament championship and clinch a bid for the tournament. I know we're talking big, but, you know, it's only crazy if it doesn't happen.
You literally never know with this Gopher team.
Exactly. All right, moving on. Four Nations face-off has been lit. We got USA versus Canada, and these are exhibition games.
I know.
But you wouldn't know it by the fisticuffs happening between the Kachuk brothers and like, oh my goodness, what is happening? What do you think of this excitement for this?
I think it's hockey at its best.
Yeah.
This is what everyone wants to see, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we always have known that the countries have rivalries. Obviously, Canada, USA. It's a little weird that it's almost like a microcosm for just the world in the States right now.
Yeah.
But I mean, that was so entertaining on Saturday, and now we have the championship, Canada, USA, tomorrow. It's going to be insane. I think that the ratings, Will and I were talking about this actually on Sunday, are people, if everyone stays healthy, do people take a look at all the other leagues' all-star games and decide,
Absolutely.
maybe let's do a little something different
Absolutely.
here? And I think that that's what the Four Nations has proved itself to be, because this is the top talent in the world, right, when it comes to hockey. And it has been nothing short of entertaining every single game.
These games don't mean anything, people.
No.
But they mean everything to these players.
Pride.
Yes, pride in country, pride in just like, no, we're better than you.
Yeah.
And we're going to prove it out there. I'm going to punch you in the face. And so it's crazy because Giannis kind of floated it out there because the interest in the NBA All-Star game couldn't be any lower right now. And they keep trying all these gimmicks to try to work it out. But what Giannis said was maybe it's the USA versus like the world, all the other stars.
Right.
I think maybe that would probably be entertaining. Just something to get these guys to take it more seriously. All of a sudden, right before the game, LeBron's like, yeah, I'm not playing.
Right.
Then Ant doesn't play. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, he has growing soreness. He's not going to play. Like, guys are not really, like, they're happy to be there, but they're not really caring about the games too much. But you see what they did in the Olympics.
Right.
And how much pride and how much it meant to them. These guys in this Four Nations face-off are acting like it's the Olympics.
I know. And we are going to get that at the Olympics as well. So it's almost a precursor to that now that the NHL can compete.
It's crazy.
It
Excited
is.
to see what happens on Thursday with this championship. Oh, just really quick before we get out of here. Girls State Tournament at the X.
Right.
Just got underway today. How excited are you about this?
Super excited. I'll give you my favorites.
Okay.
Not my actual favorites, but who I think is going to win.
Yeah,
I think Edina potentially back-to-back, and that's in 2A.
Yep.
1A, Dodge County's they're the number 1 seed, but I wouldn't be surprised if Orono or Warroad ended up taking this one. Orono, I think, is the favorite a little bit, but those are my two right now. Obviously, this is a super exciting time of the year. A lot of coverage of this. It's the Super Bowl of hockey. So it's really exciting. That's where I'm at with it.
Warroad Orono stomped them earlier on Wednesday.
That was a little expected.
So yeah, they're off to hot starts. So as I always say, I just hope everybody has a good time.
There you go.
The teams that lose inevitably won't have a good time, but enjoy the experience at the X. We enjoyed this experience talking to you today. We'll see you next week for another KARE 11 Sports Plus.